Hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm talking about 10 things I wish I knew when I started a painting. I've got a little cup of coffee here and today's video is going to be more chatty, relaxed. It's like an invitation for you to join me in my studio and we can chat all things art. So this video really is designed for the person that's either started painting and is full of self-doubt, struggling to make the paintings that you want to make, or if you've been painting a while and still kind of feel frustrated at your progress or lack of progress, or feel kind of like a lack of confidence around your art. So yeah, today's video is 10 things I wish I knew when I started painting, or kind of 10 things I wish I could tell the younger version of me. So grab yourself a nice cozy drink, maybe even some snacks, and let's start with number one. Also, if I keep looking down, it's just because I have my 10 list of things just stuck underneath the camera, so that's why. Now, number one is that painting is not a natural talent. It's a learnable skill, or it's actually made up of learnable skills, 5 skills to be exact. But the thing is, I wish I'd have known this so many years ago, because I kept going through the same loop of painting something, having like loads of excitement over what I'm gonna paint, loads of ideas and inspiration, but unfortunately, when I actually made the painting, it failed to look like I wanted it to, and I felt a lot of shame around that. And that's because I thought, I'm not an artist. I kind of made it about me and who I am, not just a skill that I need to learn. So when you separate those two, it really actually, you can divert all that energy we spend on like feeling ashamed or embarrassed or that we're not good enough. We can divert that energy into actually learning and growing the specific skills that you need to as an artist. So that's kind of like the biggest one, I think, for me. And it would have saved me many years of frustration, and I could have just become an artist quicker and sooner. Number two is that bad paintings, I'm going to put bad in these, bad paintings are a part of the process, and to honour them, honour those experimental pieces, the paintings that did not work out right, which many of them kind of end up that way when you first start painting. I'd say the bulk of paintings you make when you first start painting probably are bad. I don't really like to say bad because, as I say, they're kind of the key to growth is when you can create something and you think, I'm not actually in love with that. How do we make this better? What's missing? And when you can kind of see them through that light, it becomes the biggest key to kind of unlocking your growth as an artist and the skill that you personally need to work on. And really, it just tells us what skills that we're missing. So that's why we can honour those not so good paintings as part of our journey. Number three is to use your sketchbook, Katie. Use them, Katie. I had stacks of sketchbooks and so many of them just remained untouched for years. And I would go to like an art shop and I'd find a beautiful sketchbook and I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna get it. And I'd be so scared to paint in it. And like, even when I opened it, it would like, all my body would fill up with all this pressure of having to create something pretty on it because it's a beautiful sketchbook, or maybe it was a bit more expensive than I was used to, or something like that. So yeah, I felt all this pressure, but sketchbooks are for experimenting in. It's like the training room to painting. It's the place where you're supposed to just experiment, play. Sketchbooks are for play. And I think if I could have remembered that or realized that sooner, I would have got a lot further in my journey a lot quicker, because I could have just grown as an artist a lot faster. Number four is learning how to finish my paintings, because for so long I would, and I feel like I still get at risk of this as well. This is still something I struggle with. And that's, I love starting a painting. It's my favourite part, just going from a blank canvas and chucking a lid of paint on there, because it's still so full of opportunity and possibility. Where I really struggle is nailing it down and finishing it, because there might still be things that I'm not quite happy with, but I've already potentially overworked parts. So learning how to finish a painting, I think, is a pretty big skill on its own, because when is a painting really finished? This is something that many artists struggle with. For me personally, I've realized that a painting is not finished based on what it potentially even looks like, or it especially looks like to other people. It's all between me and the painting, and if the painting has said what it needs to say, and if I feel that I've experimented with what my intention was in the painting, then it's finished. And that's where I've got to a really good place with finishing paintings now. Again, like I say, it is still something I have to very consciously put effort into, but maybe we could do another video on that another day. Now, number 5 is that comparison will rob you of joy. And it's really difficult because at the same time, I do think comparison can be healthy and can be good. For me, in my journey, seeing artists online doing what they love, very unapologetically, sharing it with the world, making a career out of it, there's kind of 2 ways that can go. You can either look at that and go, oh, look at them, they're doing it way better than I ever could, like, ooh, and it kind of can make you shrink back a little bit and think, that's not possible for me, they've got something special that I haven't got. That's one way, which is what I stayed in for a long time. The other way is to go, that person's doing it. That person hasn't got anything more special. They're a human, I'm a human. And likely it's lots of tiny little micro choices that they have made along the way that gives that result. It's hard work for everybody. It really, really is. And so we can use that as kind of fuel to give us inspiration and say, because that person's doing it, that means I can too. That is evidence that it works. So what are they doing? What do I need to do? Who do I need to become to make that happen? That's a pretty big one. Again, I think we could do a whole video on that. So number 6 is to use yourself as your own guiding star. Now, what I mean by that is back in when I first started, I would do lots of different kinds of paintings. I might do like an illustration or a watercolor, a drawing, a painting, and I kind of got very frustrated because I was like, I just want to find my style. I want to know what my thing is. And so say I had them all out, people would come over to our house and be like, oh, I like that one. Or well, I like that one. And everybody liked a different one. And I was still kind of listening so much to other people's opinions about what I should do or what my style should be. And the thing is, everybody likes different things. And so when you do that, you just end up chopping and changing and going, oh, okay, I'll do this then. Oh, that person likes that one better. Oh, I'll do more of this. And you'll be doing that forever. You'll be doing that for years. And so really it's tuning into what do you enjoy? What is guiding you? What makes you excited? And using yourself as your North Star to guide you. Now, number 7, this is a pretty big one, especially if you want to find your own style. It kind of links into the last one, but it's create paintings for your own walls. Now, sometimes we can get stuck in that loop of, oh, my favorite artist paints this and I want to paint that, and oh, she's doing that now, maybe I should do that. And so again, we can kind of get so hung up on what others are doing. Whereas our homes are such a unique reflection of us and the way that we want to be in the world. They're kind of like our own mini ecosystems. So when we create paintings for our own walls, I feel like that is the truest representation of what your style could be. So that's a really good tip if you're looking for your style. Just create a painting to hang on your living room wall that everybody will see who visits you, and I think that's a really good place to start with finding your style. Okay, so this leads me on to tip number 8, especially when we see like artists in a professional sense selling their artwork. We can kind of see them as real artists. You know, if they're making a living from it, then that makes them a real artist. And I haven't sold one yet, and oh, we can get so hung up on all that. But honestly, selling art does not determine whether you are an artist or not. It has nothing to do with it. Literally, they are different skills. One is like a marketing career skill, and one is a painting creative outlet, creative expression. They are not linked. Now, you can choose to link them and create a career from it, but they are not intrinsically linked. So please feel validated. If you are not selling any artworks, if you haven't sold any, even if you're trying to sell and haven't sold any yet, it has nothing to do on your value as an artist. Whew, just sit with that for a second. Now, number 9 is that people around you might give you a deflated feeling. They might make little comments here and there, or they might very outwardly say, you're wasting your time, you're wasting money on those supplies, what are you doing? They might make you feel embarrassed about what you're trying to do. And I think all artists experience this. And that's what is incredible, I think, about that creative need to express yourself, is that even when that happens, I trust that you will still follow your creative pull and need to still create, because very, very often when those around us are negative about our own creative expression, it might be that they have a need that they have numbed, that they are squashing down. And so there might be something in them that's revealing that they want to do it too, whether that's through music or dance or whatever it is, but they've squashed it. And so they might subconsciously want to squash everyone else as well. I'm not saying that's definitely always the case, but sometimes that can be what it is. So you stay in your power of creatively expressing yourself, and if anything, it will eventually lead those around you to do the same. Okay, so tip number 10 is a big one, and that is, you might have heard of this, might have not, stick with me. I'm going to try and explain it best I can. Many people work from a have, do, be model of life. So they might think, when I have, then I can do, and then I'll be. So an example of this in the art world might be, when I have maybe validation from others, or when I have some sales, then I can do more artwork, I can paint more, and then I will be a true artist, or then I will be able to create paintings more freely, have more confidence, those sorts of things. So many people kind of work from that model, like it's conditional. Who they can be feels conditional on other things. So when we work from a be, do, have model of thinking, what that looks like is when you first truly in your heart believe, I am an artist, that is the be. I'm going to be an artist, I am an artist, and you fully kind of resonate with that. Then you do the things that an artist would do. So you do the paintings, you might have a full day at work, feel really tired, but you still do the paintings, you still sit down and paint them. And then you have this beautiful collection of paintings, or you have the confidence that you're starting to create. That's basically the 10 things I wish I knew right from the beginning, and it would have changed a lot of things for me a lot quicker. It's taken me probably over 10 years to realize a lot of these things. I think if I had embodied a lot of these things initially, right in the beginning, I just would have had a lot more fun whilst painting. So hopefully it's just been fun to kind of like, I don't know, listen to the ramblings of me. I don't know, let me know in the comments if any of those points particularly spoke to you and which one it was. I'd love to kind of hear that. And if you got any requests to go deeper on any of those subjects, again, just let me know. If you kind of feel ready to take your paintings to the next step, I really recommend you check out the Painter's Guide, because it comes with the Concept to Canvas worksheets, and it comes along with some videos. You get a video sent to you every day to guide you through the process of creating your own painting from the initial idea right through to the process of creation. And there's specific steps that I go through for every painting, and I'm sharing those steps. So if you want to check out that, I'll link that in the description box. And I think it could just give you some inspiration, and it's nice to sometimes do a bit of a step-by-step alongside someone, but with your own idea, not just a tutorial. So yeah, I'll drop that link below. And thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos, and just have a beautiful day wherever you are in the world. I wish you so much creativity and inspiration, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.